But from this remarkable, talented pool of candidates, one man clearly separated himself from the field. And as I said yesterday, he's a winner, a leader, and a champion. He's the man we want and need in Jacksonville. And as you'll see shortly, he wants the challenge. He's ready. So without further delay, it's my privilege to introduce the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Urban Meyer.
Well, thanks, Shad. I would first like to thank Shad Khan for this opportunity to lead the organization into 2021, and beyond. Like I said yesterday, I felt like this was not only the right time for me to return to coaching, but the right place in Jacksonville as well. Duval is a very special place to me. And I'm excited to be back in the great state of Florida. The work has begun to get this team where it needs to be, and my primary focus as we speak is to put together a great staff. I've been very supported by some incredible coaches throughout the years, and I expect to do the same here in Jacksonville. These fans, especially our loyal season ticket holders, deserve a winner, and I can speak on behalf of myself, my staff, and eventually our team. They will get our very best. Thanks again.
Urban Meyer says he's ready to coach the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that there's no better time than now to get involved in this emerging organization. However, the question still remains, can one of the winningest coaches in college football history succeed at the highest level of his profession in the NFL? To get the answers to that very question, I turn to my old friend Nick Gryniewicz, a syndicated radio host for WDBO 107.3 FM, AM 580, Orlando's News and Talk in Orlando, and AM 690 in Jacksonville, and the host of Live, Local, and Loud. To get his perspective on what this move means for Meyer and the future of Jacksonville, I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. So, Nick, if you're ready, I'll welcome you to the program, and I'm excited to talk to you about Urban Meyer's arrival in Jacksonville. Great to see you again, and thanks so much for being here this afternoon.
Hey, I'm really glad to be here. This is a ton of fun. I love talking sports. I love talking to you. So it's a privilege for me to come on. Thank you.
So, Nick, I know that everybody there in Central Florida is excited about the arrival of Urban Meyer, and certainly with your line of work, it'll give you something to talk about on sports radio for sure. So I'll start you off with a softball and just ask you your initial thoughts on Urban Meyer coming to Jacksonville.
I mean, you threw out a softball, so I'll use the same analogy. It's a home run. I love this hire for Jacksonville. I think that what you've been looking for is not just a guy that can, you can build with and build around with that franchise in terms of a person that takes a I wouldn't say fledgling, but I would say struggling programs. He did it at Bowling Green. He did it at Utah, did it at Florida, did it at Ohio State. They were struggling when he took over as well, and builds them into winners. So it's a home run for Jacksonville. It makes them relevant overnight. And now you've got him, and you're going to have Trevor Lawrence, most likely, the quarterback from Clemson, coming into the building too with the #1 pick. You've got 2 rock stars going in there, and you become relevant again in the NFL world. So it's a home run hire. I love it for Jacksonville. And I think for Shad Khan, he's swinging for the fences.
Well, if you're asking me if I'm going to enjoy losing, I think we all know the answer to that. I'm older. I've something I'm going to be very conscientious of. It's something I'm going to watch very closely. I will be in the head coach, but I'm going to hire great coaches that are going to be expected to do their job. I'm not going to be running around like a nut on the practice field, and those days are gone. I'm certainly I know what it's supposed to look like, and I want to be very demanding of everyone. But it's something I'm going to watch very closely. But it's something that, I had that surgery in 2014 that really helped things. But it's just something I watch very closely.
And Nick, as we all know, Urban Meyer had some health issues over there at Ohio State, and he had to step away because of the burnout factor. So I'm wondering your thoughts on his health, or the role that you think that played in him accepting this job as well.
Well, I think that Urban Meyer has been studying the NFL for the last few seasons. When he spoke to the media last Friday on January 15th, he said, I've been studying this, for the last couple of months. I think Urban Meyer told a little bit of a fib there. I think Urban has been looking for the right opportunity, probably for the last year or so. The Cowboys came to him last hiring cycle. He said no. The Jets reportedly kind of knocked on his door. He said no. I think that Jacksonville is the right fit for him. And when it comes to the burnout factor, that's something that is just going to be a risk with Urban. I mean, I could tell you, I like the hire. So I'll tell you, hey, it's not that much of a concern. If you don't like the hire, it's a major concern. He's a guy that is going to take losing hard and take winning very seriously. Now, he did say in that media availability that he had a surgery in 2014 that has helped some of the health issues. But I think for him, it's going to be managing that burnout factor and putting the right systems in place. Hiring a staff with experience is going to be big. I think you're going to see a lot of guys on the staff with A, head coaching experience, or B, long-time NFL experience. Scott Linehan is being rumored as a potential OC. He was a head coach of the Rams. He's been a head coach before. He's a long-time offensive coordinator. Up until a few hours ago, they wanted Raheem Morris as the DC potentially, another guy with head coach experience. I think he's going to try to put people in place that can do their jobs, and he's going to be, oversight and a guy that kind of like a Belichick, I think, where he's going from place to place to place, plugging holes and trying to fill where they're struggling.
Hey, Nick, do you think he'll make the successful transition from college to the next level?
I do. I think it's easier to transition now more than ever. I just think it's how do you measure success? Jacksonville's a 1-15 team this past season. They have the #1 pick in the draft. I think if they win 5 or 6 games next year with Trevor Lawrence and he stays healthy, that's a successful season for Urban Meyer. I think you try to make the playoffs in year 2, if not then in year 3. But that transition in terms of the offenses, everyone's running the spread scheme now. The quarterbacks, it's easier. So I think it is easier for the coach. And look at the last 2 coaches that have transitioned from college to the NFL. Matt Rule, who got a 7-year deal with the Carolina Panthers. People have raved about his organizational policy there and how he's done putting that team together. And they were at least tough this season. Now, he had an NFL background because he coached with the Giants in the past, but he came from college. And Cliff Kingsbury, it's been 2 seasons. It's been fairly successful. They were 8-8 this year. Next year is going to tell us a lot about Cliff Kingsbury. So I think for Urban Meyer, the years where Steve Spurrier is coming out of the coaching ranks and going to Washington and saying, hey, you guys are going to adhere to me, I'm not going to adhere to you, those are over. I think that the college game is much closer to the NFL when it comes to coaching. And let's not forget Pete Carroll, who's in the league. People forget Pete Carroll was a college guy that went to the NFL too. So I think he's going to be able to make this transition, if anything, because it's just much easier now.
One quick follow-up, if I may. How much did the opportunity to have the #1 draft pick play into your wanting this job?
Huge. I think Shad and the organization is positioned, and it's not by accident. Shad got very involved in the entire roster, et cetera, and I think it's primed. It's primed to put together a good team. I think, Gene, we know each other, and people who know me, that I am not going to jump into a situation where I don't believe we can win. I won't do that. And I think everything is here in play. Now we got to do it. First of all, I have to get a great staff, not a good staff, a great staff. And when people are recommending, I've had multitude of people calling, and my comment is save the recommendation unless that you feel that person is elite in all areas, because that's what Jacksonville deserves, and that's what we're going to have on our staff. So, but the players and putting together a team that, they want to win. I know that.
Now, Nick, you talked earlier about Jacksonville getting Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, in the draft, they also have an estimated $100 million in salary cap space. Do you think that'll help them sort of expedite the process as well?
Oh yeah, it's not going to hurt, right? When you have anywhere between like $70 to $100 million in cap space, depending on how you cut it, having money to sprinkle around is not going to hurt them. You've got 2 picks in the first round. You've got 11 picks overall in the NFL draft. And whoever they decide to hire as the general manager, him, Urban Meyer, and Shad Khan are going to have a lot of fun picking those players and then supplementing through free agency. But yes, the Miami Dolphins did a little bit of this. And now the Dolphins have cap space too. But the Dolphins went from a team tanking Tua to free agent room to this year you're in the conversation. You go 9-7 this year to make the playoffs. So yeah, I think you can jumpstart it. You got to build that offensive line. You draft Trevor Lawrence, build that offensive line. And I think the big thing that we've seen, especially this year with a team like Buffalo, get a reliable wide receiver for your young quarterback. They went out, they got Stephon Diggs. It changed Josh Allen's life. Go sign a free agent. By the way, Allen Robinson, former Jaguar, is going to be a free agent. Go sign him perhaps. Draft a free agent wide receiver. Get some weapons for Trevor Lawrence to make his life easier. They already have the run game set up with James Robinson, who was a great undrafted free agent rookie, first undrafted free agent rookie to rush for 1,000 yards. But yeah, that'll jumpstart things, the amount of money they have with draft picks.
And do you think his experience in college, obviously the Jaguars have a young roster, do you think that'll help him relate to the younger roster as well?
I do. I've said this a few times on the show, and I think you make a good point as well. This was the youngest team in the NFL. Now, your roster turns over 40% every single year, just with guys retiring, guys going to different teams, you drafting players. So you're going to have a young roster. How young will it be? We're not quite sure yet, but I'd be willing to bet that it's going to be fairly young still. Urban Meyer knows how to work with young NFL players. That's what Ohio State and Florida were when he was there. So that's number one. Number two, you look at some of the guys that he's reportedly bringing in, the old strength coach from Ohio State, the old the player development guy that he just brought in as well from Ohio State. I think he's going to try to keep this kind of a young college feel atmosphere for the young players on this team until he gets established. So yes, I think he's going to be able to work very well with the young players on the team while also having credibility with the older players because of the natties and because of all the winning.
And do you think Urban Meyer's presence there will help elevate the national perception of the team?
Yeah, that's already on its way. The fact that they couldn't get to everybody's questions last Friday, January 15th, when they did Urban Meyer's media availability, shows how much media attention there is. Normally, when Doug Marone's talking to the media, it is, 3, 4, 5 reporters that are there and a few people listening in, asking questions. This is going to change the amount of attention on the organization. And that's another reason why you hire Urban Meyer, because if you're Shad Khan, you want to start bringing some attention to your franchise. So I already know that there's more attention. A, I think B, when you add Urban Meyer and you add Trevor Lawrence, you're getting primetime games too. I think you're going to see the Jaguars on national TV more than just the Thursday night color rush game against the Titans. So yes, I think that the branding of Jacksonville, I think the awareness of Jacksonville is going to go through the roof this year because you've got those two guys in tow.
And I'm curious to also ask you about Do you think Meyer took this job wanting to prove to himself that he could succeed at the highest level?
It has to be part of it. I hadn't really thought about that in terms of the motivations of Urban Meyer. But I think wanting to prove that he can do it, yes. I think all coaches want to win at the highest level, and the NFL is the highest level. And I think there is a little bit of a competition side of things to say, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to be successful where Nick Saban hasn't been successful, right? He just made it 2 years with the Miami Dolphins. Where, Steve, how about this? The two coaches that he's been compared to most in his career, Nick Saban in the SEC and Urban Meyer, the coach at Florida, that of course won national titles there. He can go prove that he's done something those two haven't done, and that is winning at the NFL level. So I do think that's a major motivation factor for Urban Meyer, that he can go and just prove, yeah, I can jump from college to the NFL and win. And not only that, I ain't going to do it with the Miami Dolphins, who are a franchise with, a reputation for winning. I'm not going to do it with the Washington football team that has had winning seasons. I'm going to do it with Jacksonville, which has been an afterthought throughout most of their existence in the NFL.
And Nick, my final question for you is, I know that you have recently got a larger platform for your show, Live, Local, and Loud. So I'm wondering, for anybody listening that wants to listen to what you're putting out there in Central Florida, how can they do that, buddy?
Wow, a ton of ways. You can hear us on Live, Local, and Loud in the Jacksonville area on ESPN 690, one of our sister stations in the Cox Media Group, 690 AM online at ESPN690.com, and also on your smart speakers, wherever you can find audio. Basically, you can find us up there in the Jacksonville area. And in Orlando, our great friends at WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's News and Talk. That is 580 AM, which is a frequency I'm very familiar with. I've spent my entire career on it. And on 107.3 as well, FM. And online, WDBO.com. Just say, Alexa, play WDBO is where they can find us. And also Thursday and Friday nights, you can hear me for my new show, Nick at Night, actually. I'm on from 9 to 10 p.m. So Thursdays and Fridays, you can actually hear me 6 to 10 p.m. And other nights, 6 to 9 p.m.
Hey, fantastic, Nick. And once the pandemic is over, we've got to update the last picture we took the last time I was down there in Orlando. Always great to see you, and I look forward to seeing you in person soon. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me talking Urban Meyer and some Jacksonville Jaguars football. It's most appreciated, and it's always great to see you, buddy.
Always great to see you, too. It's been a pleasure, Kevin, man. Thank you.